And today, President Trump in Asia this morning, the latest from the president's trip coming up. But we begin this Sunday morning here in America and a potential choke point to come for the U.S. economy, travel and air traffic control. As the government shutdown now enters day 26, now the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. On Wednesday, a 12th straight fail in passing a clean funding bill to reopen government as a majority of Democrat senators voted against Republican efforts. Now, the USDA is warning Americans who receive benefits from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program may not receive those benefits next month. While the Department of Transportation is warning air traffic controllers who are required to work during the federal government shutdown, nearly 11,000 federal employees, they will be missing their first paycheck this upcoming Tuesday. The issues of this stare down remain the same, as President Trump told us right here last weekend.
They want $1.5 trillion for health care for illegal aliens that come into our country. If we do that, it will jeopardize the health care of the citizens of our country. So we're not going to do that.
Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive with the very latest is Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Secretary, good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Maria. Good to be with you.
Are you seeing a lot of TSA and transportation workers now call in sick, say they're not coming to work since they're not getting paid?
Yeah, so they got their notice on Thursday and Friday. They get a notice of what they're going to be paid on Tuesday, and they got a big fat zero. No paycheck is coming on Tuesday. And so I've been out talking to our air traffic controllers, and you can see the stress. These are people that oftentimes live paycheck to paycheck, or one controller has a stay-at-home spouse. They're concerned about gas in the car. They're concerned about child care and mortgages. And so I'm seeing the stress come for the controllers. Just yesterday, Maria, we had 22 staffing triggers. That's one of the highest that we've seen in the system since the shutdown began. And that's a sign that the controllers are wearing thin. And again, they're taking second jobs. They're out there looking, can I drive Uber? Can I find another source of income to make ends meet until Democrats stop with the radical push for illegal migrants and actually open up the government? And so what I see coming forward as we get to Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that you're going to see more staffing shortages in towers, which means you're going to see more delays, more cancellations, and then you see more Americans frustrated at Democrats, and they'll say, open up the government, enough is enough.
Tell me about this staffing trigger. Explain that to us. In other words, people are not coming to work because they're not getting paid.
That's right. Well, we have more people calling in sick, more people not showing up for work. And again, by the way, Maria, my message has been to the controllers, show up. That's your job. Eventually, you're going to be paid. But there's real life situations that they're dealing with their families. I was in one of the towers, and they were celebrating the fact that the airlines had sent them lunch and are sending them dinner. Again, you're celebrating the fact that they're taking some financial pressure off the controller by way of the airlines and saying, we're going to try to stand with you and help you out through this difficult time. I don't want air traffic controllers going to a food bank. We don't have the best technology, as I've talked about with you, Maria, in our airspace, but we do have the best controllers. These are well-qualified professionals that keep our airspace safe, our planes moving on time. And the fact that they have to think about how they put food on the table and need airlines to put food into the towers so they can have a lunch and a dinner is outrageous. So again, I see that burn coming from the controllers. And again, I think it's going to play out as we look forward into the coming days. By the way, Maria, can I just mention, I've talked about the shortage that we have for air traffic controllers. We're about 2,000 controllers short. We're trying to bring more controllers into the pipeline, into the career path. Our academy is in Oklahoma City, and right now we're not paying the instructors at the academy, but the students, they get a stipend that help them live while they go be trained up to be a controller. That stipend runs out in a little over a week. We could lose this tranche of air traffic controllers. So instead of going in the right direction, trying to bring more controllers into the system, I'm going to lose them. This has long-term implications on our ability to make sure we don't have the staffing shortages and our flights are on time and they're not delayed, which I think frustrates so many darn Americans.
Well, this specific point of government could actually trigger an economic problem, and this could really circulate and be very dangerous. That's why I mentioned this is the choke point. So the bottom line here is you've got fewer people working on the job. Is it even safe to fly right now, Secretary?
So that's job number one, Maria. And again, I need my controllers focused on the airspace, not about the finances at home. They'll tell me there is that seepage of how are they going to deal with those finances. My job is to keep the airspace safe. And so if I don't feel like I have enough controllers or enough controllers that are focused, we will slow down traffic. We will stop traffic. And that's why you see the delays in the system. And the job number one is, again, get people to where they're going safely. And if it's not on time, well, call the Democrats. Call Chuck Schumer if you're frustrated that you have a staffing shortage and your flight's 3 hours delayed or your flight is canceled. Call Chuck, call Senate Democrats, because this is the reason why.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a rough week ahead for travel, and it may very well impact some of the holiday travel that we're expecting going into Thanksgiving.
Right. No, I think you're right. As we look forward, again, there's travel for sports, there's travel for holidays. And again, what I love about President Trump, and again, I love that you showed him dancing, having a good time. President Trump cares about the American people. He's tried to minimize the impact of Democrat shutdown on the American people. But there are certain things you just can't stop. And I can't stop the frustration of air traffic controllers. I can't find money to pay them. And again, you mentioned SNAP and you mentioned Obamacare subsidies. These are real pains that Americans are going to feel because of Democrats, and President Trump has done all he can to minimize it, but there's nothing else he can do. And in the end, you got to look at the Democrats and go, start focusing on Americans, American citizens, and what's best for us. Put America first, be a MAGA for a moment, and open up the government.
Right. And that's not what they're doing, certainly in big Democrat-run states and cities. I want to get your take on what you're threatening California with. You say that you are threatening to strip California of the ability to issue commercial driver's licenses. Tell me about that, because I know that California already has issued approximately 1.2 million driver's licenses to illegal immigrants since 2015. 19 states and Washington, D.C. allow illegal immigrants to obtain driver's licenses, Secretary.
It's unbelievable. So real quick, there's what's called a non-domiciled CDL. Normally, this is if you come from Wisconsin and you're a citizen of Wisconsin, you go to Texas, you can get a non-domiciled CDL, but you're an American citizen. Democrats have contorted this rule. They've abused the rule, and they've allowed now foreigners to get a non-domiciled CDL. That's what California has done. They have unlawfully issued 60,000 of these licenses to people who have come into the country, and they've done it illegally. So you have 60,000 people on the roads who shouldn't have licenses. They're driving fuel tankers, they're driving school buses, and we've seen some of the crashes on American roadways that come from these people who shouldn't have these licenses. Gavin Newsom has thumbed his nose at us. He's refused to comply with the rules that have come from DOT, which is stop issuing these licenses, number one. And number two, go back and review all the licenses that you have issued and make sure it's been done legally. Gavin Newsom has said no. So one, I'm about to pull $160 million from California. And as we pull more money, we also have the option of pulling California's ability to issue commercial driver's licenses. Gavin Newsom cares more about illegals getting commercial driver's licenses than he does the citizens of his own state and the safety of Americans. It's shameful. He's been lying about what he's been doing. And again, we're gonna fight tooth and nail under President Trump's administration to make sure that we hold states like California accountable.
Are they trying to get those illegals to use that license to vote?
Well, that's a great question. And again, how do you verify someone's ID and someone's legal status? Oftentimes it's done by way of a driver's license. And so that's one of our concerns. That falls outside of DOT. I set the rules of the road, but I need our other partners to continue to investigate. Again, if you're an illegal, you should have some, you shouldn't have a license, but if we have states that do give those licenses, there should be some kind of identifier that shows that you're not a legal citizen of this country, which would trigger someone to say, then you can't vote. And again, I think this is the corruption that happens inside of Democrat states that allow illegals to vote, and they celebrate it. And it's got to stop. And by the way, we have 3 years under this administration to make sure we get this right and make sure our elections are lawful and fair.
Secretary, we'll be watching your work. Thanks very much, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Thank you, sir. And now this.
Thanks, Maria.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.